Welcome to Two Humans Talking, the podcast where we have real, unfiltered conversations with women about what it takes to thrive in today's modern, fast paced world. I'm your host, Tiffany Simms, and today we are talking to Hope from A More Perfect Union. But before we dive in, I want to take a moment to shout out the Modern Women's Society. The Modern Women's Society is a high performance coaching container for women who can't afford to burn out or stall in their growth because too many people depend on their leadership. Inside the society, we break free from those outdated hustle culture mantras and learn how to scale our impact without the guilt, shame, exhaustion, and sacrifice that our previous success demanded of us. If that speaks to your heart, I encourage you to click that link below to learn more, and we hope to see you on the inside. All right, Miss Hope, let's get into today's chat. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what makes your soul sparkle.
I love that question. I'm Hope Mirlis. I am an East Coaster in the United
Me
States.
too.
Fantastic. I hang my hat in New York City, uptown. I am a wedding officiant and a premarital counselor, and I do a yoga practice for weddings. And, truly what makes my heart sparkle is this idea of inspiration.
Mm.
One from the side of, the breathing side, the bringing the air into the body, uh, but as well as encouraging others around, others that are around me, or maybe just myself, to be a better human, to be a team player, and to kind of, step in to our power.
I get goosebumps with those things too. So I'm down in Maryland. I'm just south of DC. And I love everything that you just said. I feel that in my core of like what drives us to be better. How can we do it in a way that's not like detrimental, self-sabotaging, crapping on ourselves for hating ourselves so much that we have to change, but like loving ourselves so much that we want to continue growing and evolving and becoming the woman of our own dreams.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. And it's not easy. So it's like, how can we be supportive of each other? And then how can
Yeah.
we check ourselves, to make sure that we're following that path?
Yes. Like how, for me, it's like, how do I be my own friend first? And then how do I show up in the world that attracts the people that I want to be surrounded by that are going to help me grow into and be this person I say I want to be rather than hold me back, keep me playing small, having me talk in ways that aren't really aligned with the person I want to show up in the world as,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yeah. No, I think that's super smart. And, working with the couples that I work with, it's always interesting playing with the idea of who am I as a person and who are we as a couple? And how can I be there to support myself as well as support my partner?
Let's dive into that a little bit. Like, what does that conversation look like, and what types of things can, like, the woman that's listening to us right now kind of like reflect on for herself?
The first thing that I work on with couples when I first start working with a couple in premarital counseling is really looking at the satisfaction in their own lives as individuals first, making sure that they're happy in each piece, because if they're not, then that affects the relationship. So there
Mm.
are a series of categories that we go through, and I ask couples to, name them, or, rate them 1 to 10 to give me a better idea of how they feel there. And it's usually like this huge reflection moment to say, oh, wow, I'm not happy here, but, my partner's super happy here. What does that mean?
Or we're both miserable and we're both like ready to burn down this bridge.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're stuck in this, like, it's as good as it gets, I guess. Like,
Right. And then my job is to really kind of look at it and say, hey, what is one thing that you can do to make that better,
yeah.
to be more satisfying in some way? And then usually I try to hold them accountable to that, just to make sure that, they feel like they have that support, maybe from their partner, but also me while I'm on the journey with them.
I think it's so interesting that, so like, I created a career around surrounding myself with people who ask those types of questions normally, right? But I think that that's really uncommon. And I think most people, just like when I ask you, someone like what makes their soul sparkle, no one really pauses to ask questions like that. No one pauses to ask, like, who are you? You don't even know the last time you even asked who you are to yourself. So sometimes that's uncomfortable. And like people are not genuinely or generally asking, like, are you happy in the different areas of your life? And if not, not to like go down the gripe train, but like, what isn't working for you and how can we like what would work for you moving forward and how can I support you in that? A lot of people don't, no one's pausing to ask them those questions.
Usually not. I mean, one of the main comments I get back is like, wow, I wasn't expecting those questions. And it took me a while to think about those. Like I'm starting with a new couple tomorrow and I'm like, hi guys, like I need your feedback from, the questionnaire that I sent you. And I'm like, it takes a while because it takes time to reflect on topics or thoughts that you may not normally, consider.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really taking that time and, hopefully giving them that space, creating that sacred space so they can take that deep dive.
So interesting. I'm thinking about like all of my past relationships, both romantic, um, familial, like with my siblings, my mom, my brother, my mom, my friends. And it's so interesting to look back and think about how I'm very self-aware now.
Mm.
Back then I wasn't. I was very much an autopilot and very reactive unknowingly. And I was seeking other people's like support validation to make it better, to help me have a better life because I needed to find the love of my life so I could be happy. I needed to find really good friends so that I could be happy and have people to play with. And I used to get so heartbroken because it's like, why won't anyone love me? And now when I think about it, looking back, how was anyone supposed to support me and help like me step into my dreams if I didn't even know what that was myself?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Mm.
But I think it's super smart that you're thinking that way and challenging yourself to go, can I, do I need to turn that mirror to myself and not look at outside sources
Yeah.
to say like, what do I need? And
Hmm.
what can I provide? Like even the couples that I work with that unfortunately are having challenges in their relationship, like one of the first questions I say is like, what's the one thing that you can do to strengthen this marriage or strengthen this relationship? Because it's really easy to put that finger on somebody else.
Hmm.
Be able
You
to
know, it's all,
say, yeah, sorry.
no, you go right ahead. You finish your thought.
No, so yeah, because it's really easy, especially if, a friendship or, a romantic relationship is not doing well. It's really easy to finger point
Yeah.
and say, well, they're not giving me that. They always do that. This is always,
I'm pouring myself into this relationship and they're not doing anything in return. And I just, oh my God, I'm having, if you're here right now and things are off, like this is not a conversation for you to feel guilt or shame or heaviness or blame, but more just like open your mind and hear what I'm about to share because I've been there too. And this isn't because I am like so amazing that I've evolved past this, but like we all have this. And when I look back, if I'm being really honest with you, Hope, there were times where I was pouring into other people to avoid pouring into myself and then not understanding why I wasn't getting what I needed back.
yep.
And it's like because you're not even yourself. How is anyone supposed to meet you when you are not there and you're always like unconsciously making yourself this martyr? And that's just like this is just telling a lot about who I used to be, right? And I think that that's so common for women. We pour, we pour, we pour because we feel a little empty, and then we want to give to other people in hopes of giving them what we don't feel like we have, and hopefully it'll come back to us. Like if I give enough, I'll get a little back, and it just doesn't work that way.
No. Yeah. And this is this idea about being, your authentic self
Mm.
that sometimes you don't get to. So like that's when you have this idea, Tiffany, about, you know, um, that we're not ourselves, that, how can somebody love us?
And you don't even know it.
But, it's, yeah. So how can you find that authenticity to be yourself so you can find that love or, find that partner or build that relationship with that partner that you already do love in the most authentic way?
Yeah. What's the, do you find like when you're working with couples, I'm just really curious. When you're working with couples, do you find like they're either really good at being individuals or really good at being a team, but not good at being individuals that come together as a team? Or what do you see as like, is there a normal when people are first starting out in this world?
Everyone's different. I mean, when couples come to me, they're always at very different places. So it's really funny because sometimes I start working and we play a game just to get them, happy and excited and, sharing. And because, the idea about counseling, sometimes can be really scary.
I love them like trying to crawl into the screen to get closer to you. I'm like,
Yes,
tell me more.
um, uh, but being able to, have fun with them and to be able to talk through. But like one of the first questions that I get is like, tell me everything. Like, what do I need to know? What are all of the other couples doing?
Mm.
And it's kind of like, I could tell you that if that would be helpful, but that's not what you guys need. But like when we get to when we get to, conversations about finances or about, sex and intimacy or about family relationships, I'm happy to share what others may be doing if that would be helpful.
If it be
But
inspirational to your conversation.
yeah, but it may not be the best for what, is for you. So
Yeah.
like let's figure out what you both want, or as, as individuals, like what do you need? What do you want? What do you desire? And then how can we get to that next step?
I love that. I really enjoy when I'm working with clients and sending them both off to figure out who they are as people and what they want, what their destination, where's your life GPS taking you? And then from there, you come together and start making the life GPS for your family unit and like who you're going to be together. Because I think it's such an underrated skill and something that gets overlooked. Like you're just supposed to know who
Yep.
you are and who your partner is and how you're going to be as a unit. And it's like, why do we think that that's true? Like that, it
Yeah,
doesn't just happen.
no, it doesn't. And there needs to be conversation. And that's when sometimes, couples say to me, like, you know what, our relationship is great. Like, why do we need something like premarital counseling? Like, isn't that a concern if people come to you even before they get married? It's like, well, no, I said, I'm not a therapist. So it's like, that's not the work that I do. However, there's an assumption that we know what, this relationship is, and we know how to deal with other people. And we sometimes don't. Like, how do we combine our lives with other people?
I don't know that I've ever really thought about this. Is premarital counseling kind of like the let's make sure you're both building from the same blueprint?
Yes, it's like looking at what your expectations of the relationship are and being able to ask and share anything that you need to, just to
Kind
make
of
sure you prepare.
articulating all those unspoken understandings
Yes. Yeah. Well, and also figuring out what they are.
that we learn that we're not understandings to begin with.
And then there's that.
You're like, wait a second, I thought you no, what?
Yeah. Yeah. And,
Oh,
because we all come from different families and different belief systems, we may just not know.
so many us like unintentional assumptions.
Yes.
Have you always, how did you end up here? Like, was there, have you always like enjoyed this dynamic? Was there like a life event that you're like, you figured it out for yourself and you're like, this is how I'm serving in this world? Like, how did you end up in this profession?
A friend of mine asked me to officiate her wedding, and I said no. And she wore me down. And then once I performed that first ceremony, I was like, oh, that's kind of fascinating. And I was like, I really think I need to step into this career and walk down this path. That first couple, unfortunately, were having issues. and I didn't know about it until the day of their wedding. So it encouraged me to say, if I'm going to step into this path, I need to be a better advocate for my couples. So I looked to see what was out there in this realm, if there were programs or, anything in terms of, guidance or premarital counseling. And everything I found was from the religious side. And that's just wasn't my jam. And I knew that, if couples were coming to me, that they would, if they wanted something from a religious side, they would, go to a priest or a rabbi or an imam or something. So I decided to create my own program.
That is really, really cool.
Yeah.
I believe that, and this is a very recent belief, maybe I've always believed it and it's just becoming more solid, like to the front of my brain, that those of us who are called to lead have moments like that where like we are invited to do something, we say yes, we get there and we realize that there's a few other nuances that we were oblivious to, and then we want to take on the responsibility, not because we think we're amazing and that we, but that because it's like, actually, this is a gap, and I feel really pulled to help fill this, to help other people live a happier, healthier, more fulfilling life with as little challenge. Like, life is going to be hard. If I can help them have a better chance, let me learn whatever it takes to give them a fighting chance.
Yes. Yes. Fully. And, I didn't know about that going in.
Me
And
either. I was a nuclear chemist for 12 years before I was a high performance coach,
that's awesome. But
right?
you
Like,
learned that,
and
but you like, what did you take from that?
oh my God, I
That
wouldn't
had,
be here without that.
yeah,
It's how I learned that it is that healthy had nothing to do with my pant size and everything to do with me being a whole person and not a fragment in every room I walked into. And that's where the life GPS that's sitting behind me came from. It was like, actually, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter if I am the fittest I've ever been, if I am like consumed by food and I can't go to social events because all I can think about is what I did or didn't eat.
right.
And if I'm really good at my job, but my family knows neglected, well, I'm not really performing my best at work because I'm concerned or resenting or there's something here. And if I'm all in with my family and friends and I'm not getting to the gym and taking care of myself and we're only ever eating pizza and I feel like I'm slacking at work, well, now that's a weird, that doesn't feel good either. Like that's not healthy either. And I was just like, the world keeps telling me that I can't have my cake and eat it too. You can have it all, just not at the same time. And I was like, I really don't think we were designed like that. And so, like, I went on my own journey of proving everyone wrong and found out that the secret to having everything and loving your life was creating harmony in all those different areas so that I was just myself everywhere I went. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, I had like less mental chatter. The mental load was gone because everything was a yes or no to who I wanted to be. It was either going to help me get closer to my dream self or further away from my goals. And I took all these certifications to help myself through the muck because I was like, I know there's a system, I know there's a process. Why don't I just teach it to myself so I think this is life. I think we're always going to hit a ceiling and I'm always going to have to figure something out. So let me just teach myself the process and I'll do it for myself. And then all of a sudden I was like, I think this is the thing that people are missing. Am I supposed to be the one? No,
Yes.
that's silly. And then the universe slaps you for a few years, and finally you're like, okay, I'm listening. Like you're right.
Yes,
I was supposed to go through all of that to truly understand what it was like to know the difference to help guide people through it.
indeed. My uncle was a rabbi and asked me to join seminary when I was getting out of high school. And I was like, no, but he knew, but I wasn't ready. So similarly, I took this, circuitous path. And when I was ready to step into that calling,
Which
that's when I,
wasn't roundabout as we think it was, because there comes a time, and I'm experiencing it so loud right now, where
mm,
all the side quests that didn't make sense make perfect sense because I developed skills and connections and tactics and resourcefulness in those seasons that are 100% the skill sets that I need now that I wouldn't have developed any other way.
yeah, yeah. And, we're not of the mind where we have one job for our
Oh, that's
entire
good.
career. We
Yes.
pivot. And even like a lot of the couples that I work with, we talk about, career and sometimes career goals. and they're like, and I stay at, a current job for, 2 years, 3 years, and then I'm, moving, someplace else. So, what is that? Like, what can you pick up? Like, what are those small little pieces that you feel like you need to get you to that next
Yeah.
step?
And sometimes it's learning what you don't want. And that
Mhm.
is just as important of a lesson as learning what you do. And I think as a society, we undervalue that because we think it's always a waste of time and someone took those years from us. And oh, that ended up being toxic. I can't believe I wasted myself. And you're like, but you learned so much about yourself in that season. Just take a pause and like see it because there was so much value in that
Yeah,
that
I
you
mean,
won't.
same thing with your relationships that didn't work out, both
Yes.
friendships or romantic relationships. It's like, what can I learn from that?
Yes. I have a relationship that if you were to look at it big picture, you'd be like, oh my God, that was 5 years of your life that was wasted. And at the same time, like how it ended was so not okay. Um, and at the same time, I'm so grateful. It's so weird to say I'm so grateful when you know that it ended with someone putting their hands on you. I am so grateful for that because in that relationship, I learned how to find my voice. I learned how to like I learned a new leadership quality in myself. We were a very strong power couple at the time and we fed off of each other's energy of wanting to be better. And I learned that my intuition was always right even if I didn't have the facts. And that I wasn't crazy even if I didn't have like tangible results that I could listen to myself. She knows. I learned like there's just so much I learned. And I also learned that I'm a woman capable of drawing a line in the sand that once we're crossed, like, thank you. Right?
There's so
So
much
much.
power, so much
There's
power
so
there.
much in that. And I also learned how to recognize like unhealed patterns in other people, not from judgment, but in those masculine senses of like, things I used to find really attractive, that's a really unhealthy habit and quality about you. Like, and so like it's all data.
Yes, completely. Yeah, and you may not know, what it's going to show.
Yep.
It's like if you just kind of process that data or just be aware of what that data is to say, huh, like what is the lesson there? What is the universe trying to show me?
What did I need to learn?
Yeah.
And the world doesn't like, I feel like society doesn't really like that because it's like this toxic, they're like, oh, you're just trying to whitewash, that toxic positivity. Or I think we could have gone without that tragedy. Yes, and we don't know what we're being called to. And like, I believe you have to strengthen and go through some stuff to be the person that leads.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's
I
a
don't know that I've
time.
ever said that out loud before.
You want to say it again?
Yeah, I think you have to go through some stuff to be the person that leads.
Yeah, there it is.
Because, like, how else do you strengthen those skills and understand people and like gather resources and see people for the humans that they are with the lives that they have outside of the thing you're working on? And how else do you develop the skills and the empathy and having empathy while also driving a result and them not clashing where everyone feels valued and seen and we're rising together? Like, that doesn't just happen innately, I don't think, at least not yet. Our
What do you
society isn't there yet.
That's okay. There we go.
Society hasn't evolved to that where like that's just the baseline.
Yeah.
And so I think you have to go through some stuff to really understand some stuff.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard and sometimes it hurts and sometimes you don't want to go through it.
My
But
little soul right now is
mm,
like dinner time in there with all of everything we're talking about. My
that's
brain's like,
awesome.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is a lot. It is a lot to process.
But isn't it so fun?
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
So, yeah, it's one of the reasons I created the show and why I still keep recording with people is that back then in the beginning stages, I was having all these thoughts and thinking about the world and
Mm,
challenging what I knew to be true. And is that really true? Could there be a different way? And no one around me, Hope, was talking like that,
mm,
having those questions. And they're like, no, you go to work, life sucks, and hopefully you retire with enough time to enjoy it, but then you die. And I'm like, I don't think that's it. And the more I grew and kept leaning into what I believed to be true, the more I was surrounded by people who also question and think and are curious and have these weird out loud dialogues. And so I wanted to bring these types of conversations to other women so they didn't think they were crazy and alone and weird. But no, like this is how people do think and talk and process.
Yeah. I think sometimes we're just not challenged enough.
Mm.
This idea about, critical thinking. And, if we have a difficult problem, really taking the time to, unpack and, think about different options and, different ways through. I mean, there's an excitement there. There's that curiosity there.
Yeah. When you think about your storyline, what's one of those moments that you didn't realize was so pivotal, but like now that you're here, you couldn't have gotten here without it?
Mm. Um, I ran a theater company in Atlanta, and we were restructuring the company, and it was, I was at a crossroads to say, do I stay or do I go?
Do you
And
stay or do you go now?
yeah, and it was kind of, my life. And there was so much of my identity that was based around that work that I was doing. And it was looking to say, is this the best path for me, or is there something else out there? And, stepping out of that identity into really the complete unknown was, scary, but it it was completely necessary, and it started me down a completely new path that led me to where I am now. But I think that we're afraid sometimes to say, this isn't working, because sometimes it's just much easier to stay where we are when we're not happy, or things are not the best. So
I've been thinking about this. I'm curious what you think. I'm starting to think that the reason that we get comfortable in the suck instead of pivoting is because we're afraid what that might mean, that we were a failure and that we failed at something. Like if we picked a job that wasn't quite right or we outgrew, well, then we failed because we weren't able to handle the pressure and we don't want to be seen that way. What do you think in there? Like, where do you think it stems from?
I mean, I think that's definitely an option, or but I think we just get comfortable.
Mm.
I'm afraid of the unknown. I think a lot of us are afraid of the unknown. It's like if we stay in the known, even if it's sucky, is that going to be easier than, this other thing that we don't know?
I know what this suck is.
Yeah. And it's like, well, I'll just deal with that until it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't. Or maybe it's not even up to me anymore, especially if it's something that's out of my control. Maybe somebody else is saying no. And it's like, oh, okay, well, now I have to find, a different way.
Mm.
But yeah, the failure piece is kind of interesting. Like, I don't know if I've considered that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something that's been like swirling when I take Lexi for walks. It's one of those things where I think about like why do people stay stuck? Or like how come some people see opportunity and pivot and other people like it's there for them but like they don't see like it doesn't seem like a safe option or it doesn't seem like an option at all. And so I've been playing with this idea of are we afraid that other people will think we failed and that or that we'll think we failed and that's why we weren't able to figure it out because like we couldn't hack it, we couldn't handle the pressure, like maybe we picked the wrong partner and we don't want to admit that to ourselves because that would say something about me, like what does me changing say about me to myself in the outside world. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just been something I've been toying with in my brain.
Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting. I mean, I don't think I would have considered it that, But I do think that there's some validity there to say, yeah, when we are afraid to make changes, maybe it is that fear of failure.
Yeah. And in the relationship, I protected him for so long for this to now be true. I was so dumb and so blind, and like everyone else could see it, and they're just gonna roll their eyes and be like, I told you so. Or I told you not to take that job. Or I don't know, like there's something in there, and maybe it says more about me and what is releasing inside of me than anything else. Or me processing old things that maybe I didn't fully process when I let them go. I don't know.
No, I think it's super universal. I think everyone feels it.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
I
How do
know.
we connect with you? Like, welcome to my brain, people. Like, I don't want to talk about the weather and I don't want to chit chat at a networking event, but if you want to talk about your soul and what you really think and feel, like, I am here for the exploration and we can go for 10 hours. Like,
Bring it.
Hope, how do we connect with you outside of the show?
Um, Instagram is a great way. My Instagram handle is Perfect Union NY. I also have a website. It's perfectunionny.com.
Cool.
See
And I'll drop
something
those
there.
below.
Great. Yeah, those are probably the best. Those are the best ways to reach out. Yeah, I'm happy to, share or help support or help inspire.
Be human. The whole point of the show is to be human with other humans. So go connect with her. I know you hear me say it at the end of every show, but I really mean it. Go be a human with another human in this world and start a conversation. Um, and Hope, as we're wrapping up for today, is there anything that's left on your heart that we didn't get to that you wanted to share?
No, I think we covered it. I think we went to places that I was not expecting, and it also got me to a place of reflection.
I'm giving myself a sticker.
Give yourself a sticker. Right on the boob. Where that's
Yep,
what
there we go. Go me. That is like the best compliment you could have given me.
my pleasure. My pleasure.
Do you have a favorite quote or something?
Um, I really always think about the Maya Angelou quote. Um, I'm probably gonna, not say it correctly, but people don't remember the things that you do or say, but they'll always remember the way that you made them feel.
Yeah. How do we want other people to feel in our presence? Oh, that's powerful.
Yeah, that
Mm.
really, that's always something that I take through the world with me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, Miss Hope, it has been such a joy. And with that, that's Two Humans Talking, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this episode as inspiring and actionable as I did. If you're ready to stop just surviving and start living a life where your health, your relationships, and your career work together without the burnout, then it's time that you join the Modern Women's Society. Inside, I'll walk you through my life GPS system, a proven blueprint to help you have it all while thriving. You'll gain tools, coaching, and the kind of clarity that brings big dreams to life without the stress, overwhelm, guilt, and shame that the modern woman is used to. We're going to create a life where you feel energized and excited to wake up every day and fulfilled when you put your head on the pillow. Click the link below to learn more and join countless other women who are redefining success on their terms. Because the life you've dreamed about is closer than you think. I'll see you on the inside.